Hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Alondra Elizabeth. I obviously am being joined by someone on the screen. This is Armando. For those who follow the Instagram, you've already seen him because he did a takeover on there. So if you do follow me on Instagram and you didn't see it, check out the highlights because I saved everything. His day in the life was very exciting, and that's what made me want to bring him back onto the actual YouTube channel, which is what we're doing now. And so this video, I'm super excited selfishly for myself because I'm a 3L and I'm going to be going into bar prep this summer. But the majority of the video, the point is to just ask Armando questions about how the bar went, tips he has, etc. Just like the tea, basically. And especially because he passed, he is actually a brand new attorney, which I think is super awesome. Major congratulations. Um, I'm literally scared about doing mine, so it's kind of really exciting to talk to someone who passed it and did it, and it's like so recent to like fresh on your mind, right into it. I don't know, Armando, if you want to say anything to start off.
No, I just want to say thanks for having me. Really nice to be back and to give you all my advice. Always open to anybody watching this. Please reach out on LinkedIn, Instagram, whatever you feel comfortable with. If you ever have any questions about regarding the bar, law school, navigating the legal field, anything like that, please always hit me up. I'm always an open book.
So the first thing that I kind of just curiosity, like how do you feel? Like how does it feel to have passed?
It feels amazing. I think the initial reaction when you see that pass on online, when you open up your results, is joy. But for a lot of us, it's still kind of like disbelief. Like almost all of us, we went back the next day, like three times the next day, checking. It's like, does it still say pass? Does it still say pass? But I would say a few months out now, you definitely feel it, and you're like, okay, I passed. I'm an attorney. It's the legit thing. And it feels good whenever you run into, old mentors or other attorneys you knew when you were in law school. And they're like, okay, are you an attorney now? It feels really good to be able to say yes.
Yeah. Wow. That's so literally I just got chills. Like I just got chills thinking about that. Like that's crazy. I feel like I'll probably like screenshot or try to take a photo and like from my records, like that said pass. You can't take it away from me.
No,
That's
yeah, that's
awesome.
definitely how we feel. Like as soon as you see that pass, you screenshot it and you're like, hey, no.
No take backs. I love that. What's the first thing you did when you passed?
As soon as I opened it and I passed, I literally called my family. I called all of my friends. I called everybody. I was like just going through my contacts, like who do I call next? And just telling everybody like I passed, I passed.
I love that.
Once I did see the results and they were obviously a pass, that's when you feel joy. That's when you want to tell everybody, especially the people that you made sacrifices for during bar prep. You
Yeah,
want to call and be like, hey, your sacrifice was worth it.
that's true. What did you think was the most helpful thing you did while studying?
The most helpful thing I did while studying was actually all the stuff I did other than studying. I think for a studying routine, at least for us at USF, Professor Chu makes it a pretty robust program. You know what you need to study, you know how you need to study, you know what you don't know, and you know what you do know very well. And so finding the materials, finding the practice questions, the practice tests, all that kind of stuff was very easy. I think it was making sure you're taking care of yourself for these 10 weeks that you're studying. That was really important. The most helpful thing for me was just keeping up my daily routine. About like 2, 3 weeks into bar prep, I really started an intense like working out, eating healthier routine, making sure I was taking care of myself, and it really changed. How I felt on a day to day. Obviously, you're gonna be tired every single day from studying, even if you have like the best day and you got all your questions right, which you will never will.
Mm.
It's just you're gonna be tired every single day, and making sure you have those outlets. So for me, in the mornings, it was working out, making sure I'm sticking to my diet, and then after we were done, it was just really relaxing. That show I just enjoy watching, so you don't have to think about those things after you're done studying for the day.
Mm. Quick follow up. Do you have you been able to maintain any of that at all? Like the workouts and stuff that you did during bar, like has it seeped into like your normal life in any way?
Honestly, no, because the week before the bar exam, I injured my knee pretty bad. Like, pretty sure I partially tore an
Yeah.
ACL. So I had to stop, and I was kind of hobbling on the day of the bar exam. But
Dang.
I definitely, after I recovered, I was like very motivated. Like, no, I want to keep doing that. It's very good. Now with New Year's and stuff too, it's kind of been like my New Year's thing. It's like, okay, time to get back in shape and even better than I was during bar prep. But I would say waking up early is definitely a habit I still continued after bar prep. A big habit I got into during bar prep was of limiting my social media use. I was very big on using the like limits you can set through your own phone. Like you could set
Mm-hmm.
it for like 30 minutes of social media for certain apps and things like that. During bar prep, I was very big on that. And like once I would hit that time limit, I'm like, all right, I can't use Instagram, I can't use Twitter, Snapchat, whatever it is. I was like, I can't use that the rest of the day. I think I would put YouTube on there as well, just
Mm-hmm.
because I noticed like I would spend so much time on that during 3L year, 2L year. And they were my outlets and what I used, but I was like, okay, no, I really need to limit how much time I spend in the morning when I wake up browsing Instagram and then spend like 2 hours. I'd rather spend that time working out, getting my lunch ready and stuff like that after I wake up.
Honestly, for me, I have no idea what I want to do with that.
I think it just depends on the person, honestly. I know a lot of people that passed that were like, oh, I just deleted Instagram, Twitter, all
Mm,
my social media, and I didn't activate it until the day after the bar exam, and they passed.
wow.
But I
Yeah.
know people that didn't pass that did the same thing.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
I know people that did it like me. They limited themselves, and they're very honest. Like once that time limit hit, allowed me to look for like another 15 minutes. I guess I was disciplined to that point, but I knew myself. I was like, okay, I need some outlet. And honestly, I enjoy sending memes to my friends all day. So I knew that
Yeah.
was one of my outlets for me. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do it, but I'm going to limit myself to an hour across all social media total a day, which I thought was a very good balance, at least for me. And I just stuck to it and it's been fine. And now, honestly, after the bar exam, whenever I hit that limit, I'm like, oh, I really don't want to spend that much more time on social media because I'm like, I feel like I'm wasting my day now.
Yeah. Wow. That's true. I think I might do something similar to that then because I don't want to leave completely, but it's been, it's the thought. This is exactly why I want to have this conversation. Like someone who
Yeah.
just did it. Like, how was that? Cool. And then this is like, what was the hardest thing during bar prep?
The hardest thing during bar prep, I think, would be really staying focused for 10 weeks. I think it's very easy to crack down for like a weekend or even a week. I think people are used to that now at this point in law school. And obviously, having gone through undergrad, there was that one week where you're like, you know what, I just need to pull all nighters this entire week or whatever, or I really need to pass this
Mm,
semester or something like that. I think that's something we have all within us. I know anybody in law school can definitely pull that off, but this isn't about pulling off one all nighter or cramming for one night. I think it's really about being like, okay, I need to put in work today. I don't need to pull an all nighter every single night to pass the bar exam. I just need to be consistent and do all of the work I need to do every single day. And I think it's hard for a lot of us to do that for 10 weeks straight. I think in law school, you can get away with like kind of slacking off for a week here and there in the semester because you have the rest of the semester to catch up. And other than like a midterm week and the final week, I don't think any single week is that influential to your overall grade or to
yeah.
whether you actually understood the whole class or not. But during bar prep, where one week will be two whole subjects, if you slack off that week and those two subjects are on the bar exam, you're not going to pass.
Mm,
And so I
that's
think it's
true.
really important. The hardest part was just sticking to that grind, like understanding that the few days off, I think we had 3, maybe 4 under choose plan, and understanding that those are really the only days you can take a day off, and you can't really afford to fall behind. I think that was the hardest part. So yeah,
Yeah. So now I have children the other way. Like now I'm scared.
this is coming from a person that, and I think this is just my own personal opinion of how everybody should feel up to the bar exam. But once you get your results, you want to have the feeling of like, okay, I could have slacked off for like a few more days though, and I would have been fine.
Mm-mm.
You're like, oh, I overstudied. But I think that's the feeling you want to walk away with once you get your results is being like, oh, I know now that I probably could have slacked off 2 or 3 days and I would have been fine, rather than being on the outside in, being like, oh, if I would have pushed myself for those 3 days, or if I would have pushed myself those extra 4 days or whatever, I would have passed.
That's true. The only thing I've only ever cared about, I mean, I feel like obviously law students, a lot of us, as they say, like type A, like we're used to being straight A's, or like we strive to be straight A's, like that's always been our goal. And that's just like the nature of who we are when we end up here. But for me, it's honestly less, it's been always less about that. It's been about feeling and knowing that I put everything on the table. Like I want to know that I left everything on the table. Like, if I walked away knowing that like I could have done more, then that's when I feel the worst. And especially with a grade or whatever result that I don't want. Like that's gonna make me feel even worse knowing that I didn't do absolutely everything that I could. There was something else that I was gonna say when you were talking that I was gonna ask because I feel like at least now in my position, I know we're talking about a little bit more later. Um, Going into the spring semester, I feel like I'm behind. Like, like I feel like people have been talking about like, oh, I'm gonna start studying right now. Like maybe not the same exact amount as bar prep will be, but like people talking about doing multiple choice on the weekends and like or reviewing things after school and everything. I'm like, damn, like should we be doing that? Because since you just mentioned, like the hardest thing was maintaining that rigor for 10 weeks. Well, what about now? Like did you do anything before? Did you hear people do that? Would you recommend that or absolutely not?
And
Yeah.
honestly, I wouldn't recommend starting bar prep until the schedule sets to start. I know
Mm.
some people that did, but honestly, the people that did it are people that I would consider were going to pass anyways. They're kind of like top of the class. I'm like, why are you doing this?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, not me. So
But I think if no, but
yeah.
I think if either very honest with yourself and you're like, I genuinely am not going to put in 100% effort during the summer or something, I
Mm,
don't see a reason for you to start early or do anything like that. Or if there's a subject like somehow, some way you finessed and you just completely skipped it
mm,
or something like that. I
yeah.
like all of us in law school. If you've graduated law school, you have a base knowledge as much as you think like, oh, I don't know anything about torts or I don't know anything about criminal. You remember a lot of the key words, and that's exactly what the bar exam is testing. The bar exam isn't testing, can you Cali every single subject? The bar exam
Mm-hmm.
is testing, can you get a C minus in every single subject? Which I know for the most part, most of us did if you graduated.
That's very true. I always felt like an average test taker, and like I feel like that's a fear that I have. That I'm just thinking like, damn, I'm just gonna be average. I'm like, well, I guess that's what I need though. Like, I don't need to be the best, but
And especially at the beginning of bar prep, you're going to start taking the questions, and they're not like what you were doing in law school, and you're not going to be getting
mm,
passing scores on the first 2 weeks. But that's totally fine and expected. I think is to tell your past self, it's just be like, hey, I'm going to pass at the beginning, and that is totally normal. The goal is to be passing towards the end of bar prep, not to know everything at the beginning, and
yeah.
just really give your effort 100% to every single subject during those 10 weeks, and you won't have to put in any extra work whatsoever. If you just do everything at the bar prep program that's designed, there's more than enough work there to where you're going to walk away after the bar exam being like, okay, I could have slacked off those days, as I was saying earlier. But you're like, but I don't care because at the end of the day, I passed.
Moving on to the actual question, I know we may have covered it, but do you have anything specific, any specific advice you'd give your past self who is just starting?
The advice I get, I thought
Mm,
about that question for a long time when I was reviewing these, and there isn't a single thing I would change about what I did in bar prep because at the end of the day, I passed. And I'm like, it's not broken, don't fix it.
yeah.
Like I said, there like you leave with the feeling of, oh, I could have taken that day off after all. But at the end of the day, the world keeps going, and I don't think any of those relationships were affected because they knew how important the bar exam was to me. So
Mm.
I guess some advice would be like, hey, it's totally fine to feel guilty about maybe missing out on something with your friends or family. But at the end of the day, it was worth it.
I'm sure I literally been asking this basically the whole time. Like, make it about me. Would you have any recommendation for students going into the spring semester, like me?
I would say just focus on graduating. That is the
Mm,
number one goal. If you don't graduate law school this semester, you can not sit for the bar in July.
yeah.
And so I would say don't get too ahead of yourself. Bar prep will come when bar prep will come. Right now, the main goal is finish law school, take care of all the business you have to take care of, so that you are available fully for those 10 weeks during bar prep.
And then what was your daily schedule? I feel like this is obviously could be very personal to everybody because everyone's just doing things. But I've heard so much about people being like, "That was my schedule, ride or die," like sticking to it. So I'm just curious to hear like what your schedule was, maybe if whatever
Oh,
you'd like to share.
absolutely. Everybody had their own daily schedule, and it was like clockwork when you would see people clock in and clock out of the library every
Yeah.
single day. For me, once I got into my routine of working out and eating better, I would wake up at around 6, do my morning run from 6 to 6:30, go to the gym because Correct wouldn't open until 7 a.m.
Mm.
So then as soon as Correct would open, I would go in, do my gym workout, go home, get home between 7:45, 8. Then I would shower, have my breakfast, pack my lunch, and I would always try to be at the library by 9, 9:15 at the latest, and really start studying at 9:30 because I would take some time to settle in, be like, okay, do I need to check any notifications, emails, do any other side of bar prep that I need to take care of, and really start studying intensely at 9:30. Then every day was a little different on when I would take lunch just because of our bar prep schedule. Some days we had to do more multiple choice in the mornings than others.
Mm.
So on the days we spent a little more time on the multiple choice, I would probably take my lunch at 12:30 or 1, depending on how long I took. And on days we had less multiple choice, I would take it at 12. And then I would just take my lunch for an hour. But you had to be I was really strict with myself on the hour. I'm like, okay, when 1:30 comes or 1 p.m. comes, whenever I have to finish it, it's time to go and time to get back to it. And then I would stay in the library. I would always stay until at least 4:30 to 5. Again, it would depend because some days we didn't have to do a full write of an essay under our bar prep schedule. Some days we did. So depending on how many essays I had to take care of that day, I would finish by 4:35, and then I would just go home after 5 and have dinner, do my laundry, do my chores, do my errands, go hang out as much as I could, or try to go do something for my own entertainment here and there. But yeah, outside of that, any other day was exactly the same as that. It was library from 9 to 5. After 5 is just relax, take care of my own things, and before 9 was just work out and prepare my lunch and stuff like that.
So it was very 9 to 5, like which I know as well. A lot of people refer to sometimes bar as like a job, right? Like very 9 to 5, and then from then on, like normal life, I guess, in a way that still allowed you to wake up at 6 the next day. It's not like you could
Yeah.
do anything crazy. Okay, I like it.
Hmm.
Part of me is actually kind of looking forward to it because I like 2020 obviously like sucked for a lot of different ways, but it 2020 when everything first closed, it was my last quarter in college. So I was like super fit. I was super on top. I had like a super extra daily schedule because I didn't go anywhere. Like, it was like the pandemic. There was nowhere to go. And I was studying for the LSAT at the time. So I feel like I sort of had a not like a head start, but I have an idea what I would want my daily like schedule to look like for bar prep because when that pandemic hit and like I had nothing else to do with my life, like that's what I was doing. I like work out, extensive workouts and like certain wake up and like sleep times and everything. Which I think I can do for another 10 weeks, like if it's a bar prep, it's like 10 weeks, like I can do that again.
Oh
So
yeah,
part of me
it's like you were
perfect.
saying. There's nothing else to do, so you're like, all right, let me just focus in on these things.
And then the next question was like, how was it navigating family and friends during bar prep? I know you mentioned, maybe not going to birthday parties or saying no to things. Like, how was that? Did you give them all like a pre-warning and then navigated it anyway?
I think to all my direct immediate family and to all of my closest friends, I absolutely did give them a warning, like over a month out, as
Yeah.
it was kind of at the time I was all inviting them to my graduation since it was right before
Mm,
we started bar prep. Yeah, it was still hard, even though you gave them a warning. Even with some like my dad, he just calls me every single day, even to this day while I'm at work. He'll call me. I might not answer the work phone, and then he'll go proceed to call my personal phone, and I'm like, hey,
mm,
I'm kind of busy.
yeah.
But you kind of have to really set those boundaries during bar prep of like, or if you want to check in with me or something like that, it's like very limited time. Like, hey, I'm alive. Don't worry, everything's good. I'm just
Yeah.
studying. But even then, I think it was hard for me to sometimes manage the guilt of not being able to see everybody like I usually do, or even just check in with them like I usually do, or give them that text or send them that meme. I would always send them at least once a day or
Yeah.
something like that, because especially when you're the kind of the first one in your friend group to ever go through law school and something like this. I know there's other professions out there that have pretty serious exams, but I can't think off the top of my head any of my friends who've gone through an experience like this where they've been away for even more than a month, let alone 10
Mm,
weeks. And so, yeah, I would say it's okay to feel guilty if you're not going to every single thing that you used to or not giving as much effort as you used to with your friends and family, because you can always give that same amount of effort you used to once the bar exam is over. But yeah, I would say I don't think any level of preparing can really make you feel better about it during bar prep. I think it's
mm,
just mentally be like, okay, you know what? I'm going to feel guilty. But if there's something you think you can make it up for them, you're like, oh, maybe I missed your birthday party or something like that, but you still sent them a gift. You still called them in the morning, like first thing in the morning, like, hey,
mm.
I have to study all day today, but I like hope you have a great birthday. And I'll try to call you later if I finish my stuff early and stuff like that. Another thing that made me feel a little more guilt was, I have a pretty big family and a lot of friends. So I invited all of them to my graduation party, which was right after our commencement ceremony. So like a lot of people came to that, but for a lot of those same people, I wasn't able to attend like a birthday or an event that they had during bar
Mm,
prep. And I think that
mm.
was another thing that made me feel really guilty that even though I knew they would never think like, oh, he couldn't make time to come to my thing, it still makes
Yeah.
me think like I should have made time for that.
And did you ever, at least for me, into law school, I feel like I gave a lot of like pre-warnings that in my first year being like, oh, I'm in law school, blah, blah, like the thing they tell you, like you're not gonna be able to go to things, etc. And then I actually like moved, no, like I'm alone here in San Francisco. Like I don't have like friends or family close to me. So it's like a lot more like a mental game for me than it is like physically being invited to somewhere because I'm not even in the same city. So it's not the same. But one thing that I felt like as a side effect that was like not really a good side effect is that I told everybody to leave me alone and then they like left me alone. So then when I needed support, it was like not wasn't there either because like I literally told them just like leave me alone, like point blank. So for you, like was there anything on the other side, right? Like when you needed support, like or wanted to be supported, like how did you navigate being like it's no when I say no, but like, sometimes you need them or like how do you, because I feel like it's a weird conversation to have to be like I'm really busy, I won't have time. But then sometimes when you need that support, like how did you kind of do that if you did?
I don't think I had an explicit conversation over that when I was like, I did need support. I think
Mm-hmm.
with my family and friends, it was just kind of implied, like, if I am calling you or messaging you or even just hanging out with you, I think they knew like that time was pretty limited
Yeah.
or very important. And so they would always provide me the support. I think it was easier for my family to continue to provide me support because they were kind of the ones I kind of constantly had to be like, sorry, I'm busy, sorry, I'm busy, sorry, I'm busy.
Mm,
So the second I kind of gave them, some attention,
anything.
for lack of
Yeah.
better words,
Yeah.
they were
Yeah.
like, oh, yeah, gladly. And so
Yeah.
they were always there to step in, which I really appreciate and I'm thankful for. Same thing with my friends. Like on the off chance, they would always still invite me because, of course, even though they knew most of the time I was going to say no, But on the
Yeah.
off chance, I would say yes to like a Friday night thing where I wasn't behind or just something where I was like, you know what, I can make some time for this today. They, wouldn't even comment. They would just be like, oh, cool, join us today. And it would just be like
Mm.
any other day we were hanging out.
Do you build stamina without burning out during bar prep?
To be honest with you, everybody's just going to burn out at some point. That
Mm.
point is going to be slightly different for everybody, just depending on who you are. But for a lot of us, myself included, it was the week between the two full simulated exams that the ABES program made us do. Because those 2 weeks are just brutal. Because for 5 days straight, you're reviewing all of the subjects. Then you do a full simulated bar exam on Saturday, Sunday, which is from 8 a.m. to 4:30 the first day. And then the second day is 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. as well. As soon as you finish that simulated bar exam, which feels exactly like the real thing, and it's just as
Mm.
hard, if not harder, that
Yeah.
Monday, that very next day, you got to come back and do without those 5 intense days of
Mm.
studying every single subject again, just to finish that weekend with another full simulated exam.
Yeah.
I
Sounds
think
kind of
that week
horrible.
that week was the one that kind of broke a lot of us, but at the same time, I think it was the one that pushed and helped us build stamina. It was like if you could
Mm.
get through this week, and even if you didn't pass both of the simulated exams, if you could just get one of them to pass, you were going to pass the real bar exam because that was
Mm.
still with some time out from the bar exam. And you're like, if I can just get through this week, I can get through anything the bar exam throws at me. Just that week is when you feel the most tired, when you're like, I don't want to study anymore. I don't want to do this.
Mm.
But you're like, if I just push myself through this week, I know I can do anything that they throw at me.
Mm.
And I think those days built up stamina because you're like, okay, if I did 4 days of simulated exams in essentially 1 week, I can do two off of some good rest right before the bar exam.
Did you do anything for yourself that week? Was it just the same grind, like not even an extra little like chocolate cookie or something? Yeah. Like, did you do anything for yourself in that week at all to help you through it, or you were just like just grind?
I think I was just like, just grind. I think all of us were just like, I'm too busy or tired to even think of doing something for myself.
I love this. I'm just like mentally, you don't even know what's coming in here. It's like I'm really excited to be talking to you, and then part of me is like really trying to like basically take mental notes, even though this is literally recorded. And I'm just like I'm feeling excited and nervous and scared, and I feel like that's just how I felt every day this semester so far. Like anytime somebody talks about the bar, immediate fear, and then it's like then we talk about preparing for it. It's like okay, I can do that. Like amping myself up, you know. And it's just like, it just seems so surreal. Like, kind of like you said at the very beginning of our conversation, like, you did it, like it's done, and you still had to like check back the next day. I feel like that's how I feel every single day in law school, even till now. Like, let alone the fact that this year is the year I graduate, but take the bar, hopefully pass, it's all this year. So it's just kind of crazy to think that I'm even here. Like, this is the moment. It's just crazy.
You're there. You just got to get ready for it, graduate, and before you know it, the bar exam and bar prep will be all over too. I think in the moment it does feel like a very long time. And every single day feels very methodical and lethargic. But looking back on it, it always just seems like a blur because every day was the exact same. And you're like, that
Yeah.
honestly felt really quick just looking back on it.
You have any burnout from law school itself? And like, how did you kind of like get over that to start the bar? And also, it's like, side note, like, is it literally the Monday after that you started the bar prep? Like, how much of a turnaround was it?
Yes, it was the Monday after. But I would say everybody's burnt out from law school. I don't think you can get around that.
Yeah.
Say I was burnt out to a certain degree. I definitely planned for my last semester to be as chill as possible. Like I was always front loading the harder courses and harder electives and required classes as much as I could. So for me, it was a little easier because I only had one official final that I had to do
Mm.
during my last semester of 3L. So it was very easy for me to be like, okay, I just need to dedicate this amount of days to pass this class, and I'm gonna take as much as I can of this remaining time during finals for myself and to try to relax as much as I can before I start bar prep. To catch up with my friends, to catch up with my family, take care of any loose things, and to just go out and enjoy too.
Yeah.
Like I went on a kind of a mini trip. I went just to go hang out and enjoy. Like I was saying, and I never really done that during a finals period, but I was lucky because my final was the first week. I just got my studying done, took the final, and I
Mm.
was free for essentially a week and a half
Yeah.
before we had graduation and had to start bar prep.
Yeah. I think I'll have around the same time too. So I guess I'll have like 8 days or something. Not super crazy, but I'll have a couple more days before like official bar start. Okay. Okay. Good to know. Good to know. What was it like actually taking the bar? Like, The bar.
You show up and already, like, if for us, the majority of us took it either at the Oakland Convention Center or the San Jose or Santa Clara Convention Center, whichever one it is. When you show up, it's hard to imagine 1,000 people at the same place taking the exam. But when you're getting dropped off, you see a line that wraps around the block
Wow.
of a pretty big block.
Yeah.
And you're just like, there's this many people about to take the bar exam. I think it just hits you already. And you're like, I'm just another number in this.
Damn. Yeah.
And then there's a lot of waiting and kind of not chaos, but everybody doesn't know what's going on. And we're just waiting for instructions. And everybody's just as lost as everybody else. It was just very daunting, especially because you're like, okay, today is the day where I need to perform. Today is the day I need to show up and do as good as I can on every single one of these questions, on every single one of these essays. Especially the first day because it's the essay portion. So you do not know which subjects are going to be the ones on those essays.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just like hoping it's the ones you think it's going to be on there and it's not going to be the one you really don't want to do, things like that. So it's very nerve wracking. And once you get seated, you just look back or look forward depending on where you're sitting, and it's just a huge room, probably bigger than any room you've ever taken an exam, and everybody's there is just taking the exact same exam as you, and it's just kind of hard to imagine. And then you just feel, at least for me, I always get a little nervous, at least even with any simple exam. But for that exam, it's just like I just feel the adrenaline pumping through me. It's like, all right, we got to do this. And I usually don't even need caffeine, but those 2 days of the bar exam, I was just like, I am just running on adrenaline the entire time from when they say start and stop.
Yeah. I mean, I bet. I mean, my heart, like my watch probably thinks I die every single time I take an exam. Like I get so just like my heart rate goes up so much for every exam. And I was telling my mom this actually, this last final. Usually I don't tell her these things because I don't want her to worry. I was telling her and she was like, oh my God, how are you gonna be for the bar? Like if you get so nervous for like a normal exam, like how is that, like you're gonna freaking pass out? I feel like it's gonna be the same amount. It's just like nervous of taking an exam, but mentally it's probably gonna be crazy because like you said, it's like the bar. This is the day you have to perform.
Yeah, and then well, when you're taking the bar exam, they won't let you have the Apple Watch on. So I think that'll help is you won't be getting the constant notifications of, hey, your average heart rate is up.
Yeah.
And we notice you're still sitting down.
Yeah. That's true.
But the other thing is some person around you that's making noise or their computer isn't working or something is going on that they have to talk to a proctor. They're typing really loud on their computer. We had this guy who brought a full keyboard, like a mechanical keyboard, like one of those gaming keyboards.
Yeah, wow.
Because I guess he really couldn't use the one on his laptop. And he was just making so much noise that literally by the end of the day, the proctor did request for him to not use it anymore because I could tell it was a distraction. I would have been extremely distracted if I was the person sitting right next to him or right in front of him.
Oh, yeah. I probably wanted to
even
stab
me
him.
sitting like two like 10-foot tables away we could hear him loud and clear when he was mess up on this and he would just smash the backspace for like 20. It was very annoying. And even with earplugs or anything like that, there's going to be some distraction. And I heard stories from all of my other friends too that they had to deal with. There's going to be something, so just expect that and just know that going in, like something there is going to distract you. You just got to train and get ready and mentally prepare to just deal with it because they're not going to stop the exam for you. Your time is not going to stop. They're not going to give you extra time. This is the one time you're going to take it. You got to do it. And that was just the first day.
Yeah.
And then you walk out that first day and you're like, all right, I got to just put it away, put it aside for me, just get as much rest as I possibly can and be ready to do it again the next day and finish this off strong for the multiple choice portion. And then you show up the next morning, same huge line, same thing. You just got to wait for a while. Then they finally start it. Adrenaline kicks in. But I think the second day for me, you feel a little more comfortable because you at least know the process of what they're going to read to you and stuff and how they hand the things out. But there's still the intensity there of like, okay, that was only half of the exam. I need to perform just as good, if not better than yesterday if I want to pass this bar exam. So the adrenaline was definitely still there on the second day. And I think for me, I was able to walk away with like a few extra minutes at the end on the second day. And so it felt really nice because there's a lot of people that finish early, even if it's just a few minutes, that it's just nice to turn in your exam early. And you just want to walk down that whole room and just start yelling and be like, I'm done. But you can't because they would definitely invalidate your score. But the second you walk out that door, just feel so happy and relieved that it's done.
Yeah, dang. I'm getting excited again. Wow.
But another thing that was definitely traumatizing was after the first day, I mean, I actually went and I took one of my friends who was taking it at the same location, Nico. Some of you guys may have known him through the
Hmm.
channel. We just went to go get tacos after the first day of the bar exam. After that, I just dropped him off back at his place. I went home to my place, and I was like, I just need to get some rest. And I went to bed at a reasonable hour still because I knew I needed to wake up early, make sure I was on time and everything.
Yeah.
But that night, I had a nightmare that for some reason on the second day of the exam, instead of going to take the multiple choice portion, I showed up to Zeef Library to study more at
Hmm.
8 a.m. And it wasn't until one of our other friends showed up and asked me and my friend that were studying, they were saying, what are you guys doing here? Shouldn't you be taking the bar exam? And we realized at 7:55, the exam starts at 8. We're in San Francisco. The exam's at in
Yeah.
Oakland. And I'm just like rushing. I'm like, hey, don't forget your pencils. And I
Yeah.
feel so nervous because I'm like, how did I just miss the second day of the bar exam? And then I wake up
Yeah. Dang.
and it's time to take the second day portion. So yeah, that night you as much as you there's no avoiding thinking about the bar exam. And those are like the kinds of things that I've heard of attorneys to this day. They'll have nightmares. They've been attorneys for 10, 15 years. And they're like, I still have a nightmare that I missed the bar exam or something like that.
Honestly, I did want to make a note because I feel like you've been handling this so well. I was a little, like a tiny bit nervous of like talking to you about this because you recently did it. Because the last time I asked somebody about the bar was when I was in high school, and this person had passed the bar like 2 years ago. I asked him about the bar. The look of trauma on his face, like he went to a whole outer space and like glazed look in his eye, and I felt so bad for asking him about it because I mean at that age. I had no idea what I was even asking about, basically. And I feel like I just traumatized him so hard. And so I was like, dang, I hope like Armando's gonna be like ready to talk about this and not just like be glazed trauma over like the bar experience, which I feel like a lot of people do. Like it's horrible, like a horrible experience.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that for me, I wouldn't say it was traumatizing at the end of the day. Like I had some moments like that nightmare that still feel very real
Yeah.
to this day. There's days like where I was just not getting anything right at all. Like I was definitely not getting passing scores on a multiple choice, or I completely bombed an essay. But
Hmm.
that's totally normal. I think that was something that our APES team did very well of normalizing. It's like, hey, this isn't about getting a perfect score every single day. This is about going through the motions and really studying on the things that you didn't get right. So like those questions that I missed, all right, let's journal them. Let's figure out what the actual answer was and why did I get it
Yeah.
wrong and what's the real rule. And that essay I bombed is like, okay, what issues did I clearly miss? Or what am I completely blowing away in the analysis? I think they were very reassuring along the way, and that's part of why I don't feel traumatized necessarily. But the other thing is, and I would say this to any person that's about to take the bar exam, studying for 10 weeks straight, where all you have to worry about, if you I understand some people may have other responsibilities and this can change for any given person. But for the most part, most of us graduated college. Most of us are still pretty much living on our own, pretty young. And to say your only responsibility is to wake up, feed yourself, take care of your chores, and just go and study for 8 hours straight. I would say a lot of people would really beg to be in your kind of position. It is a privilege to be able to take the bar exam. It's a privilege to be in law school. And at the end of the day, just being told like, hey, you just have to go study for 10 weeks straight is not that bad of a thing to do in life. Like I think you have to realize, the privilege you're at and say, like, I've put in this much work up until this point, and I just need to pass this exam. I just need to study and get this over with. And it's just like I've been studying my entire life. Like I can do this for 10 weeks and really just focus down. And I wouldn't say it was the worst part of my life or like the worst era of my life by any means. I know a lot
Yeah.
of people will go back and reflect on it like, oh, that was the most horrible time of my life. I would never want to do it again. And yeah, I would never want to, I don't want to study and take the bar exam again.
Yeah.
See, it was like horrible or like I hated it or it was like torture or anything like that. Like, sure, I don't want to spend my time reviewing evidence codes and stuff like that. I'd rather watch a show or do something I enjoy
Yeah.
and get joy out of, but it wasn't the worst thing in the world and you're going to be fine. You're not going to die from studying.
Honestly, that was perfect. We're gonna end it right here. Like I think that's honestly so true, and it's like a reminder. I think we all need sometimes, especially again as first gen people who are doing this for the first time. Like it is such a privilege, and that's why sometimes I'm like it's just in awe that I'm even sitting in these classrooms sometimes, and like that's very true. That it's like obviously, like you said, there's other things that come up always. There's gonna be like issues that arise and anything, but it is like a kind of very fortunate to be able to just study and like like you said, like be indoors and sit down. Like I know my dad always told me like when he came like that the only thing he could offer me was the opportunity to an education, right? Like that's like the only thing he could really give me by coming here to this country. And like that's the only thing I've been able to have and like grasp with my hands and be like, yeah, like this is what I'm doing. Like it is the opportunity to do this. And it is very, very fortunate that we can. So I like that. I feel like that's really good lens. Like, thank you for reminding us of that and like bringing that forward because it's so easy to get scared about it and be really nervous and like expect the worst. But you're right, it is a privilege, and like I am like it is fortunate to be able to do this. Really, we're almost at the end of the questions. There was one that I wanted to ask that's more like technical before we asked for like I asked for like overall tips or last words. This is like I just like it's so confusing. I hate the website for the bar stuff and like the moral character application. Do we need to do like a bar application before the registering thing, or is the bar application the same thing as like registering for like location and everything? Because it tells like that opens like a certain date and then it's closed a certain date, but like do I need to do anything else? Like, I like I registered and I did the moral character application part. Am I just waiting for it to open, or is there something else I need to do before the thing opens?
So there is the moral character application, which you've already
Yeah,
done, which is great. That's completely separate from the bar exam. But just
yeah, yeah.
for anybody that's navigating this for the first time, you do have to submit a separate moral character application from a separate bar application. The bar application, I can't remember one or the other, but the bar application is either open the entire time and then just registering for a specific exam opens at a specific time and it's that window.
Yeah, yeah.
So you have to submit a bar application, which will get you your bar number eventually. And I
Mm.
think you can just submit that now. You don't have to wait until the exam
Okay.
registration opens. And that's like, I can't remember, for us, it was like $150 or $200, something like that. And then registering for the bar exam, the specific one you want to take, will open up on a certain date, whether
Okay.
you're going to take the July or the February one. And that is a separate application. It's not really an application. You just have to put your info and select what center you want, but it is a separate thing. You have to pay a separate fee, which I know is increased to like $900 now. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's just freaking pain. Okay, okay. I know because it's so confusing. I went on there the other day and I think I just probably was looking under the wrong section or something because I didn't see anything else. My friend Elisa, she was thinking that it was probably separate. So like, dang, I'm just gonna ask Armando. Like, I'm talking to him later today. Like, I'm gonna ask him so that we can make sure we're like doing what we're supposed to be doing. At this point in time.
yeah. But that first little separate thing, the registering for the bar number, you could literally do it the same day. That's what I did because I
Okay.
didn't know it was a separate thing either. I thought it was just
Yeah.
the register for the bar exams. Like, y'all want more
Yeah.
money? But yeah, I mean, if
Yeah.
you can do it before, you just get it out of the way. One less thing you got to worry about on the day you got to sign up.
I'm sure. I'm sure you had like a mini heart attack when you were like, "Oh shit, I need to do something
Yeah, I
else."
had a friend. My friend was like, "Oh yeah, I'm already picking my center," and I was like, "Huh?"
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. Okay, so yeah, I mean, last thing, I think these questions can maybe go together. I was like, any tips for the actual, like actually taking the bar, like day of, like tips for showing up. I don't know. I mean, I feel like you can't take food or water, like you can't take anything with you anyways. But do you have any tips for those 2 days?
Yeah, my tips I would say is maybe not everybody has this available to them, but some friends or family that you can stay with or that will stay with you at the hotel or something like that. Like for me, I had one of my friends on the first day drop me off at the place, like right at at the entrance of the convention center.
Mm,
So I just had to get in line. And they brought me lunch during the
mm,
anticipated lunch break. And that's one of the
yeah,
difficult things. It's because something can take longer or something can go wrong with the instructions or whatever. It's a big ask to ask somebody like, hey, our lunch is either going to start at like 12 or like 1:30. I don't know.
yeah,
And I can't use my
yeah,
phone. So can you just wait here for like an hour and a half with my lunch? And I'll meet
yeah,
you here whenever I come out. But that is something one of my friends did. I really appreciate it. And it's just nice to just walk out and the meal's ready rather than having to rush out like with a lot of the people that will try to go to all the local food spots or sandwich spots or anything like that. Because then that place gets full because you have over 1,000 students in that area all
yeah.
trying to get
I
food
feel
at the same time and trying to do it all in under an hour. So
that's
just
right.
having somebody that has your lunch. Or I know some people will keep their meal up in their hotel room and just heat it up in the microwave and stuff like that. But for me,
I
it
was
was
gonna
just
say
nice.
that. I was like, I feel like I've seen that in movies. People take their little lunchbox. It's like, is that not a thing? Like nobody takes like a little PB sandwich, or is that
Yeah,
are you just that hungry that you want like a legit meal?
you want a legitimate, nothing too crazy. Like you don't want
Yeah, yeah,
a
yeah. Not like
whole
a five
huge meal
course.
because you don't, yeah, but you
Yeah,
want like a nice wholesome meal that's not going to leave you like, oh, I'm so full, but you're like, okay, I'm full. I have more than enough fuel to get me in case
mm,
something goes wrong. We have to wait an hour and then still take another exam for 3 hours. So like in case you have to get out
yeah,
by 5, 6, and that's one thing. Like sometimes it can just take forever just collecting the exam. So I know in Santa Clara after the first day they didn't get out till like 7, 7:15, and you were in there
mm.
since before 8 a.m. You were in line well before 8 a.m.
Dang, yeah,
And so, like, same thing when they came time to finish, I was like, hey, again, I don't know if we'll get out somewhere between 4:30 to 5:30 or 6 because they might take longer collecting stuff or something might get messed up or whatever. but just having them there, they pick me up, and it's just nice to have somebody like drive you. You don't have to worry about that either. And then the second day was the same thing for me, but my dad did it for me, which was really nice. Yeah, so any for like actually taking the bar, I would say yeah, just try to get some help and some support from your friends and family to try to make that day as easy as possible. It's not going to be easy, but having a good meal at least halfway through, someone to talk to about something other than bar exam, and just be like, thanks, appreciate it, and not have to worry about that is just a really good thing to do, and just get as much rest as you can after the first day. It's really hard to take your mind off of it, but just try and maybe try to plan something like, hey, I want to play a board game with my family when I get home, and that's it. And just have a dinner and go to bed, or just do something. I don't know. But yeah, overall tips, I would say just be ready to grind, but don't beat yourself up over messing up one day. Like I said, there was plenty of days where I did not get a passing score on my multiple choice, where I completely bombed an essay, and I'm here, I'm a bar attorney, and you're going to be totally fine. So put in as much effort as you can every single day, but understand that not every single day is going to be a perfect day. And you can do this. Like I said multiple times, you've all come this far. You've all graduated from law school. You all have more than what it takes to pass the bar exam. If you just really dedicate yourself for those 10 weeks, those 8 weeks, whatever program you choose or anything like that, there's no doubt in my mind that you can pass the bar exam. It's just learning all the little tricks, how they want you to write it, how they want you to answer it. And I will second another, there's one big tip that Professor Chu and the AVES team like to say every single year, every single bar exam, is don't start a relationship and don't end a relationship in the middle of bar prep. And I will absolutely second that. If there's one thing that would have made my time during bar prep easier, is if one of my relationships wouldn't have ended right in the middle of bar prep. So yeah, don't. It's like it just makes things a lot easier, puts you in a different headspace for a few days, which makes you lose time. And like I said, it's about making sure you put in the work every single day.
Well, thank you so much. I learned so much. I'm sure all of you watching this share with your friends. Like, this is literally gold coming from someone who just took it, literally passed, put in the hard work, as he's been telling us. Like, again, I feel like the same way. Every single time I start a conversation about it, immediate heart attack, then it's like I feel good and calm, excited, ready, powerful. Then it's like another heart attack, and it's just the same roller coaster over and over again. And I feel like that happened with this conversation. It's like different emotions are going through my mind. But now that we're like, we've had the conversations, like, yeah, like you said, we can do it. I can do it. You know, when you were saying that, like, we can do it, I was like, sí se puede. And, you know, like, como dice Mexico. Like, our parents always said that to me. Like, sometimes I was like, that's freaking BS. You know, it's like, let me like grieve. This is hard, but we can do it, right? Like you said, we've had the tools, we've been at it. Something you mentioned earlier, like, I've been studying my whole life. Like, if there's anything I could do, it's study. So I like that you said that, because I feel like it's bringing me back. Like, yeah, the only thing I can do is study. So let's do it. Pass the bar first time.
But yeah,
let's go.
good luck to anybody taking the July or February exam. You got this. Just believe in yourself. As corny as it sounds, you know the right answer most of the time. You just got to stick with it and just put in the work, and you'll be more than happy with your results whenever you take the bar exam.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And thank you all for watching. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.